welcome back to another video. Today, I know you guys really like my projection videos, my election prediction videos when it comes to candidates, because those are the videos of mine that have the most views. So today, I'm going to be going over Ron DeSantis versus Joe Biden. You know, I've usually been considering Kamala Harris as my Democratic candidate, but I switched it up a little bit because now that I realize Joe Biden is most likely running in 2024, and if he does win in 2024, then he will be almost 87 years old when he does leave the White House. So, you know, the oldest president in history. Not only when he was inaugurated, but when he left office, beating Trump's record. So, you know, now that we know that Joe Biden is running in 2024, most likely, you know, Kamala Harris is going to be his vice president. So, you know, I really didn't go over who's going to be Ron DeSantis' VP because besides Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis is the second candidate in the front. He's the second front runner, and, you know, Republicans are behind Donald Trump. But I just don't see Donald Trump, first of all, not running. Even if he does win the Republican nomination, he will not win the election. 100% will not win the election. So I do think Ron DeSantis is a great choice for the Republican Party. He's right behind Trump, you know, by substantial margins. But once we realize Trump is not coming again, you know, the front runner of the Republican parties are going to be Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. And I think that it would be one of them. So I already made a Nikki Haley, Kamala Harris. Not only I made a projection, I also not only I made a prediction. You know, I use many predictions that I see online, and just using how Nikki Haley does margin wise. So today we're going to be using Ron DeSantis against Joe Biden. If you guys haven't yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, leave a like down below. Comment if you guys would like political content. I know I really like posting videos like this where I make election predictions. I don't know if you guys like it. So, you know, just comment down below and click that bell to receive notifications when I post videos. So, let's get into it. So, I characterize these swing states that have 160 electoral votes, states that are within a 3% margin. I made about 5% margin, but, you know, I think states that are going to be even Ron DeSantis' home state of Florida could be in between a 3. You know, it's still going to be a swing state, whether it's his home state or not. So, he's going to probably, we'll go over what happens in these states. So, Florida, 31 electoral votes, Texas, 41, Arizona, 12, Georgia, 16, North Carolina, 16, Pennsylvania, 19, Michigan, 15, and Wisconsin, 10. These are all swing states. I did not include Minnesota, Ohio, or Iowa because just like, you know, Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis will not do as well in Ohio as in Iowa as Donald Trump did, but Ron DeSantis will do decent in these states. So I'm just not going to consider those, and I do think Joe Biden will do decent in the state of Minnesota. And I can also add, I don't really consider New Hampshire as a swing state because Joe Biden carried it by more than 7%. It did get really close when Donald Trump came in 2016. He was within a few percent margin. So let's go over what I think. So obviously we're going to characterize states that 100% going safe for Ron DeSantis. You know, there's no chance, you know, that the Democratic Party is going to pick these up. So for Ron DeSantis, a lot of these states I'm not actually going to characterize, and you're going to be seeing that because a lot of these states are not safe for the Republican Party anymore. You know, they are now sitting at likely margins, coming down to lean margins. So yeah, Ron DeSantis is only going to carry 116 electoral votes. Safe. I'm sorry, not 116. Just 76 actually. Sorry. Now let's go for Biden states. So California, Oregon, Washington, and then the rest of these states here, including New York and Illinois, are going to go to Joe Biden safe. Now, once you add the likely states to Ron DeSantis, it definitely gives him a benefit in the likely states because, you know, in general, Ron DeSantis, you know, again, a lot of these Republican states are losing their margin of victory, you know, like Mississippi, South Carolina. These are states that are losing their margin of victory for the Republican Party. The margin has been shrinking. You know, Kansas, Missouri, Indiana, you know, Montana. These states have been shrinking by margin of victory. Iowa and Ohio are lean margin states. Here, let's go over that. Why I think Iowa and Ohio are going to be lean margin states. Well, because you see, Donald Trump carried Iowa and Ohio by a likely margin, and they're not considered swing states in this 2020 election because Trump runs up the numbers here, and he did in 2016 as well. But in general, Ohio and Iowa, when Obama came, Obama like candidate, he won both of these states. 2008, Iowa likely, Ohio leans, and then in 2012, Iowa likely, and Ohio leans. So before that, they were both lean states, tilt states. Ohio and Iowa, in general, without Donald Trump on the ballot, they're very close states. But somebody like Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, not a traditional Republican, is going to run up the numbers here. Definitely not as well as Donald Trump, but it's going to be, probably not a likely margin as Donald Trump carried it by about 8%. But, I think Ron DeSantis can do pretty well in Iowa and Ohio. He can flip them. He can do pretty well. I think he can take it down to 4 or 5% margin in these states. I think he can do pretty well in these states, or possibly even a likely margin. I think they're both going to be lean states. Probably not likely. So Minnesota, another state that that hasn't gone to the Republican Party in a very long time. Even though it's not the best of margins, Donald Trump in 2016 only carried Minnesota by 1.5%. Very small margin of victory. But, Minnesota does have that pretty Democratic, hold, without... If somebody like Donald Trump came back in 2024, I could give Minnesota likely or safe for, Democrats. Definitely not a safe state. Probably a likely state. But, with Ron DeSantis, he's pretty popular in this Rust Belt region. I think he's going to carry Minnesota by a lean margin. Biden's going to carry it by a lean margin. Let's go over a few of these states. Colorado. Let's go over New Mexico, likely margin. Virginia, likely margin. And I think he could bring down Colorado to a lean margin, not flipping it. But Ron DeSantis does decently well in minority voters. If you look at Colorado, it was a pretty, just like Virginia and New Mexico, it voted pretty conservative 2000. New Mexico flipped in 2000, but it was a tilt margin. And that's less than 1%. So, that's not an over state. That state is not over for the Republican Party back then, but it sort of is now. When Donald Trump came, it was an Obama, state. Virginia got down to leans. But when 2016 came around, Colorado got to leans. And if you think Romney can bring down Virginia to leans margin, then I think Ron DeSantis can also bring it down Colorado to a leans margin, just as Donald Trump did in 2016. I think Ron DeSantis can do the same. But he's definitely not going to carry that seat, for sure. And I forgot to add Alaska, a likely state for Ron DeSantis, and Montana, not a lean state, for Ron DeSantis. In New Hampshire, just because how Joe Biden did, he performed well, and obviously it's the same candidate. It's not changing. It's still Joe Biden. So he's going to do the same. I don't think he's going to improve, or I think it can stay the same. I think margins can go down a bit, margins could go up a bit, but it's going to be a lean or likely margin for Joe Biden, just like he carried it by 7% this year. When Donald Trump came around, it was only a couple of percentage points. That was because Donald Trump was really popular in 2016. Most presidents do better in their second term than their first term. Donald Trump and Obama were an exception. So, now we move on to the Rust Belt area. You look at Biden flipped all of these states he flipped Wisconsin by a tilt margin, he flipped Michigan by a lean margin, and Pennsylvania by a lean margin. But because Donald Trump just didn't bring that. When you consider Ron DeSantis is an extremely popular candidate. It was only 0.6%. Donald Trump flipped it by 0.2%. And just because he improves better, I'm gonna give Wisconsin to him. I'm gonna leave Michigan in Biden's hand. I'm not gonna give Michigan to Ron DeSantis. I think Michigan could go either way. Michigan. If you look at Michigan, it was a 2.8% margin of victory, but it was surprising how Donald Trump flipped it back there. By a very small margin. If you look at the margin here, it was really small. It was 0.22%. Here, Joe Biden flipped Michigan by a bigger margin, much bigger than Donald Trump, 2.8% there. So, Michigan, it was really close. Donald Trump improves. Ron DeSantis improves pretty well. And obviously, I do think I see Michigan possibly going around DeSantis. Pennsylvania, same in Pennsylvania. If you look here, Pennsylvania did go blue, but it was only a very small margin of 1.2% for Joe Biden. Donald Trump flipped it in 2016 by 0.72%. But now, if you look really far back, Pennsylvania in 2012, it was a very, very liberal state, 5.4%, a likely margin. If you look back in 2008, it was even further, 10.3%. Pennsylvania's margins have shrunk down a lot. And I think as we go further, as I said, minority voters are moving out of these 3 states and in general the Rust Belt. So I think, these states are going to be are going to be states that are going to go to Ron DeSantis. And obviously Maine, not every in Maine. Let me characterize that right there. There we go. So, and one district in Nebraska is going to go. Hold on, let me characterize this. Okay, there we go. So, so far it stands 190. Give me 1 second. This is gonna be a. See, why does it keep doing that? No, not this. Okay. I'm trying to put this as a likely state. And add this for Joe Biden. Okay, there we go. 194 for Ron DeSantis and 218 for Joe Biden. In the state of Nevada, it is a swing state. Joe Biden is going to carry Nevada. If you look at Nevada, it's never been, those. I don't see, I think Ron DeSantis can do really well. Nevada is going to be a tilt state because if you look at Nevada's margin of victory in the 2020 election, it didn't change from 2016. And Donald Trump was really not the best candidate for minority voters. And Ron DeSantis does, the Southern candidates do a lot better with minority voters. So it's a 2.4% margin in 2016 and in 2020, 2.4%, yeah. So I do think Ron DeSantis can carry Nevada. It's not going to be the best margins, but yeah. In Texas, in Texas means margin for Ron DeSantis. The margin is going to shrink. This, 5.6%. If you look at Texas, we go back here. Texas has shrunk a lot. If you look back, Texas at one point was 20% state, and as it gains a lot more electoral vote weight, Texas, 20% state for George Bush. It was 12% for McCain, 15% for Romney, 15% was a safe margin, 16, 17% is a margin we can count on, 9% not so much, 5% not even less, and I think it could come down to a leans margin in Texas. So yeah, in Florida, Ron DeSantis is home state. It is his home state. I'm gonna give it to him. Not going to be the best margin, similar to what Donald Trump won. It's definitely not going to be a likely margin. Florida is not a red state. Florida should not be considered a red state. And I know you guys really consider me putting Florida as a red state, but Florida really isn't that a red state. And I do think the Republican Party will make a smart decision if they elect, Ron DeSantis wins the nomination and he goes on to tackle Joe Biden in the election. So Florida, it was a 3.2% margin for Donald Trump, about 1% in 2016. The margins are growing. I'm not saying that it's going to get bigger and bigger because Donald Trump definitely improved significantly on the ballot. Because Ron DeSantis is favored by, his approval rating went down a lot during COVID, but his approval rating is 55% in Florida. He's popular in Florida. He's the current governor of Florida. He's really popular in Florida. He does really well in his home state. So I'm definitely going to give that to him. So we already see Ron DeSantis passing that 270 mark. That does mean he'll be elected president for his first term. Other states. The rest of the states on the board, Ron DeSantis, all Ron DeSantis states. This is sort of a really weird thing. You guys wouldn't considering Arizona, Georgia, maybe North Carolina. You look at North Carolina, its margin has shrunk. But Ron DeSantis does pretty well with Florida minority voters. Texas minority, Florida minority voters as governor. And, I think he can do the same thing he does. North Carolina shrunk. It was in 2016. Trump won the state by 3.7%. This year, North Carolina was only 1.3%. But I still think Ron DeSantis will carry North Carolina just because, he does really well in Florida. Minority voters who tend to vote blue, a lot of them vote blue. He performs well on minority voters and Miami-Dade County, just like Trump did. So he's going to do the same thing in, North Carolina urban, suburban areas. In the state of Arizona, 0.3% for Joe Biden. Less than 15,000 votes for Joe Biden. It was a very tight state. I'm giving it to Ron DeSantis because, the same topic we went for North Carolina, it's going to be a smaller margin than North Carolina because North Carolina didn't actually go to the Democratic Party. Joe Biden didn't win the state in 2020. Florida, Arizona, and Georgia did actually go to Joe Biden. So I think they're going to be close states. I do still think Ron DeSantis is going to carry Arizona and Georgia. Georgia was a bit smaller margin. It was only 0.23%. Democrats picked up Georgia. African-American turnout. A lot of these candidates, I do think Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley do really well with African-American turnout. Just depending who's his vice president, he could do really well with somebody like Tim Scott. So I definitely give Georgia and Arizona to him. And that leaves the map. 316 electoral votes for Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. And incumbent President Joe Biden, 222 electoral votes. And I do think the Republican Party will make a smart move as picking Ron DeSantis as their front runner. He does really well, probably even better, a lot better than Donald Trump. If Donald Trump does come again in 2024, it's going to be even worse than what he did in 2016, and even probably worse than 2020. So I think that's our episode of the video, guys. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Leave a like down below. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.